I gotta start with that big performance in episode one. It is such a blast. It is so much fun. I guess, starting with you, MJ, can you tell me a bit about how that came together? What was it like to do? And do you know how to play guitar?
Yeah, of course. I actually had never played guitar before in my life. We had to learn for this role. We went out to Atlanta 3 weeks before we started filming for band camp. It was like all these amazing teachers, got together and they taught Chiara bass, and then they taught myself guitar. And then because I already knew the drums, so he was kind of like the most experienced out of us for sure. But I definitely love guitar. I fell in love with it, and I still play now.
That's so cool. Well, Kiara, wow, like that scene is amazing. You've got the chops. What was that like
Oh,
to pull off?
you're very sweet. It was great. I think it was, a bit of a dream come true because I do not really sing in my life, and I definitely don't sing Iron Maiden. But Jordy does, and I was very lucky to be Jordy and getting up there with these two amazing guys and getting to bring my little garage band dreams to life was super, super fun. And I love singing, and learning the bass was like so far out of the scope of anything that I thought was even remotely possible. And I think that's something we all experienced on the show a little bit, was feeling like it was so big and it was so outlandish. How could it possibly work? And then being able to overcome these tasks together and like move forward with the show and put something together that's awesome with so many amazing cast members. So I'm very, very grateful. And the performances were really fun.
That's so cool. Well, Kezii, you've got this like amazing opportunity here in this show to like be a band member, but also fight evil. What's Spud doing to survive here alongside his bandmates?
I think he's putting on his big boy pants. That's all I can attribute to it. He starts the season very young, very naive, and he doesn't really have a guard to put up because he's so free flowing, and the government is lying about this, that, and the third. So he doesn't really have the I don't know the mental capabilities to think all the way through. And by the end of the season, he has, I jokingly said one day on set that his frontal lobe developed, so he starts thinking logically and making great decisions.
Wait, talk about Dylan and the transformation you're going through as this character. What is this? This must be a really fun character to have a chance to do this, like finding himself, but also the darker side of the character. What was that
Yeah,
like?
there was definitely a huge arc to it, and I was very, very blessed to have such an amazing script to work with. Shout out Matthew Scott Kane, the showrunner. But yeah, it was really cool. Like when you have such great material, it's such a like a blessing to be able to perform that. So yeah, I'm just very, very blessed that I was able to work with everyone.
Well, Kiara, I was talking to Bruce about, working with all of you and, his stance in all this that, he's been there through so many amazing horror films and shows. For you coming into this, did you watch a lot of horror, to
Yeah,
prepare, or what were you watching?
totally. I mean, I think there's like we got a couple different scopes that we can really dive into with the show. We've got the 80s, we've got the horror, we've got the music. So I think there's a lot of realms for us to play with, which is super duper fun. I'm a huge horror fan myself, and I've also worked quite a bit in the horror space in the past. And Bruce Campbell's an icon. He's a legend. I think for anyone who's a huge horror fan, our show has a lot of little breadcrumbs for you to follow. Or yeah, it was an honor to get to be on set with him, and he has so much knowledge that he can share and give. So I was just grateful to be able to sit down and listen.
That's cool. Because what about you? Were you listening to music? Were you prepping in other ways, or what was your work like?
Yeah, complete overhaul of my Spotify playlist. Like it was a complete 180 by the time we ended production. Yeah, just listening to music. I did do a deep dive on Bruce. Like I knew I recognized his voice from a lot of different projects, but I finally sat down and watched Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, and I was like, this is cinema. Like this is what we've been talking about. So there were times on set I would try and talk to him about it, and we'd have really good conversations about him filming that as well. So yeah, it was just like being aware of the entirety of the project and taking the parts that I wanted to learn more about.
That's cool. MJ, was there a moment on set that you were like, okay, I'm geeking out. This is the thing I want to do the most. Did you get to do something like that?
I think when I was working with Bruce Campbell, like that's just such like a dream, you know, like just I'll never forget, like he has like this ritual kind of thing. Like whenever he works with a new actor, like we sat down and he just like had like a talk and he's like, he just explained it so well. I wish you could have heard it. It was like so like motivating. You know what I mean? Like it's just, you're in the presence of greatness, you know? So it's definitely an experience.
Well, thank you very much for the time. The show is fantastic. I had a blast watching it. I can't wait to see more.
Cool. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for having us.
Appreciate that.